Nisambula Vinaka, and good day to all the people who are joining us from all the different parts of the world. Today, for our international conference, The Old and the New Indenture, Labor Practices and Human Rights, we are here for the Zoom public webinar, and our topic is, do the current generation of Indo-Fijians identify with their Girmit heritage? So this is our collaborative research paper. And with me, I have Professor Sunil Kumar from the School of Economics, the University of Fiji, Savani campus. And we also have Avitesh Deepak Kumar. He is a school teacher with the Ministry of Education, Fiji. And I'm Manpreet Kaur. I'm a lecturer in the English department here at the University of Fiji from Savani campus. So today we're going to be looking at this topic that I have just shared earlier. And if you'll see the presentation, if I could go back to the slide that I've just that has just appeared. Our presentation has five key components that we're going to be looking at. One is the introduction, and then there we I think we have skipped that. Yes, introduction. Yeah. The second one is this is the question that we are asking in our research that we did, because it's a field research. Is there an identity crisis amongst Indo-Fijian? So you will see, friends, that we are still using this hyphenated identity in here. So we're asking this question that amongst these people, Fijians of Indian descent who are living here in Fiji, is there still an identity crisis amongst the Indo-Fijians? And the third thing that we intend to share with you through our finding is that what is a common narrative about identity confusion? So there are many that we found out through the research that we have done. So we're going to share that shortly. And then we have a data analysis that has been done, and we have some interpretations for you. And lastly, we're going to be having some concluding remarks. In terms of the introduction, the first thing that we intend to share is defining identity. You will, as you are aware, cognizant of the fact that the definition of identity varies across disciplines, and there are some people say that there are 8 different identities that one carries, but identity simply refers to the ways in which individuals or collectivities are distinguished in their social relations with other individuals and collectivities. This is what Richard has to say, and a lot of literature would also say that identity many a time is fluid. So, and when we say that identity is fluid, like in the second generation, third and the fourth generation, when we say that the very notion of identity is fluid, then people can then say that identity is liminal, like neither here nor there. And through our research, some other things that we found out are that some common identities that people associate themselves with, particularly the Indo-Fijians, are the familial units, like for example, the Nand family, the Prasad family, the Kumar family. So this is the familial unit in which we individually identify ourselves with. The second one is nationality, and with nationality we can tie nationhood. And the third one is gender. So gender identity can be very sensitive. And the fourth and fifth, we can tie them together, ethnicity and religion, whereby we can have the caste and the subcaste, also sex and subsex within it. And the fifth one is quite interesting. Here in Fiji, you will see is that we also identify ourselves with the different professions that we are in. For example, we'll have a group of doctors. They can identify themselves together. We can have the academics in academia. We can have our own circle in academia. We also have lawyers, for example, or you know, the cane cutters, whichever profession that one is, they sort of identify themselves in that sort. And also the sixth point that we have pointed it out through our research is on town, village, just like a while ago we were talking, Sunil, Avitesh and I was talking, and Avitesh said that he's from Ba. So that is one identity that we share, sort of a commonality. Which town one is from, the village, the school. And one of the things that probably we needed to register through this conference is that there are also some negative connotations that people carry. And in Fiji, example, the Indo-Fijians is those who have settled in Vanuatu. So we very easily call them Lambasia. Or sometimes when somebody is in the remote, we say Goia. And probably, it's sort of edged in our minds. I was saying to Professor Sunil a while ago that somebody is from a particular village, and then I can say, oh yes, a very Goa or Goia. So these are negative connotations that people carry with their identity, and many a time it would not really settle well with them. But that is how people really identify themselves. In Fiji, Vanuatu people, we very quickly say Lambasia or Goia, and these are, and it still exists. It's sort of deeply rooted within our communities. And then the next thing that we are asking is there anything as Indo-Fijian identity crisis? This is the question that we are asking. So are Indo-Fijians confused about their identity, about the very notion of Fijianness or Indianness? Because we have been living in Fiji for a good 140 years, it's a very long time. And then we have asked this question, are the Indo-Fijians, those who still for so long, for almost a century, carried this hyphenated identity with them, are they confused about their identity? The very notion of identity is sort of deeply rooted. And then we found out, absolutely no, not at all. People who are Indo-Fijians, they are acutely aware of their identity. They can always relate themselves to a certain sect or identity. And just today, Avitesh was telling me, because he's a school teacher, that I think in all the schools in Fiji, they're celebrating Fiji Day. And I see him in Bula. So, irrespective of whichever caste or custom you are from, but you will very quickly or very easily assimilate yourself or integrate yourself to a certain identity. So it's a total no-no. This is what we found out from our research. Then the next very pertinent thing that we sort of found out from the research was that what are some of the common narratives about identities? There are many stories that is going around. There are so many things that we talk about, and sometimes people may take it to heart. But then the first one, and I found it very interesting, is that we Indians are born with a stick to poke. And that sort of has a negative connotation. But anytime you have an Indian, a particular in a group or say, and the people will say, oh, they're always born with a stick to poke. So that doesn't really boil down well with us, but that's how we are identified. And there's no two ways about it. The second one is that we do not help each other. If I look at the individual identities that we have created, I may say no, probably I can be very, I can be very helpful, but this is the notion that sort of prevails, that we do not help each other. We let others dominate us, and I think I will agree with that to a great deal. Yes, we let others dominate us. We are politically divided, we are politically divided. We associate ourselves with a political group, and then we say, oh yes, I'm this, I'm that. I would not want to name political identities that we carry, but that notion too is deeply rooted in us. And the other one is they are north-south identity divide. Yes, and many a time, some people who are from the north, they are south, while probably the caste system has sort of eroded in Fiji. It has sort of become fluid, but still people identify themselves with I'm a North or I'm a South Indian, they still have that sort of narratives about identities. And the other one is, are there religious division? Of course, there's going to be religious division all the time, because that is one of the foremost identities that one identifies themselves with. And then are there geographical identity division? There is, okay, like people from this particular region or that particular region, and we identify ourselves from that, and we sort of, and that is known as collective identity. In English literature, many a time, Bill Ashcroft has said, he has talked at length, even Gayatri Spivak, she talked about collective identities that people share. Then some answers to the aforementioned that we had said, the narratives about identities was, yes, we are critical of each other. And I don't think sometimes probably if we take it like overboard, then probably it can become problematic. It is not necessarily a bad thing. So if somebody is very critical, if you see through a very thick lens, and if we point things out, I don't think it should be problematic. Second one is not true at all. We often give our hearts out to help and support. Like I said, for number 2, we do not help each other. I think we are always very helpful. And I think the notion of the Kede approach, in Ethiopia, everybody is together. I think probably we got it from the communal way of lifestyle that our indigenous community, because we have been living in Fiji for so long, so we have sort of learned from them as well. So we give our hearts out to help and support. No, we do not. For number 3, we let others dominate us. No, we do not. Sometimes probably we can, but we found out that no, we do not. Yes, political division exists, but not necessarily for bad. So everybody has their own mindset. They affiliate themselves with a particular organization. That's all right. Okay. The next one is possible, but seems quite mild. More structured research needs to know and find out about this. So probably Professor Sunil and Avitesh, that's where we go in. Number 5, we can do a research on that. Seems like, but not overtly confrontational. Are there religious divisions? Seems like, yes, there is religious division. People hold on to, and there's a dichotomy. There's always going to be a dichotomy. We hold on to our religious divisions, or onto our religious differences that we have, but not overtly confrontational in Fiji. We haven't had bloodsheds about it, but within our own homes, we can talk about it. Yeah, and last one, are there geographical identity divisions? Yes, but it is not a harmful sense. Like people from Ba will say, Soka crazy town, I may never have kicked the ball, but I will always say, yes, I'm from a Soka crazy town. So yes, and in a healthy way. And then the next thing that we're going to share is that even statements such as these are there that often pop up in conversations or uttered in anger. So all those things that we have just talked about, obviously when people are talking, when they're in a Thalanoa session, when they have a baitak, in Fiji Hindi, we can say baitak. Yes, they always talk about it. And they talk about it probably not with a lot of resentment. There is little pride in them, no pride for their history and their heritage, just individualist living and then dying, leaving behind nothing for the succeeding generation. As always, there are a few exceptions. So there is little pride in them. Probably this is what we want to put forward to you. If you're going to ask us, are we people who are not pride, do not have pride about our forefathers? No, I do not agree with that. And are we completely individualistic? No, because we have forged a communal identity. We have forged a collective identity, and in many instances, in many functions, in many events, we have always displayed. By far, we have shown that. So there's little pride in them, no pride for their history and heritage. It's a total no-no. This is far from the truth. So tells us this research survey. It's not us who are saying it, but yes, we are very patriotic about our own country, about Indo-Fijian. That's why we are still using that identity. While we understand that yes, we are Fijians or Indians, Indianness and Fijianness, we know the divide and we know where we stand, but we still are people who hold our heritage. It's very close to our heart. So I will now have Professor Sunil share the data that Avitesh has collated for us for this particular research. Thank you, Professor Sunil.
Thank you, Manpreet. Avitesh can move in now.
Okay, Avitesh, you can.
Thank you.
Wherever he wants to start, yeah, whatever he wants to say.
Thank you, Manpreet and Professor, for giving me time. And I'm indeed honored to be part of this conference, as it is through this conference that people will get to know about the identity and the endangered period. Also, I would like to thank the organizers, as it was during this research that I could trace my roots back to India. Of course, it would not have been possible without the help of my grandfather, whose grandfather, that is my great-great-grandfather, was from India. And I'd like to just say that it is very important to share these narratives of endangered period with the younger generation. And had it not been for this conference, I most certainly wouldn't have been able to know. So with these words, I wish all the presenters all the very best, and thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Avitesh.
Thank you, Avitesh. Can you guys hear me properly?
Yes.
Okay,
Loud and
thank you.
clear.
Yes.
Loud and clear,
Okay,
Professor.
excellent, excellent. See, my system is not so bad. It's good. All right. So the data analysis is what I will go over. I'll be quick, but some bits I have to explain, I think, at this point in time. One thing that our sample size was very small, which I'll briefly mention later on. We intended to capture the age of 25 to 35. For one, we wanted to capture university students or young people who would have probably started work and were already, engrossed in the, their families, their lives, and so on. And we wanted to capture them and then find out whether they had any sense of their association with their heritage and the Indo-Fijian, Girmityas community itself. So in our group, you see, there were 25 to 35 age group. 54% were students, 12% teachers. Secondary, on education, we had 63% who went through secondary education and 37% tertiary. I think this is fairly representative of the population around Lautoka where we did this. But surely, I think, Avitesh, this covers the entire Fiji, isn't it? There's some from Nosori, some from...
Yes, it does. Yes.
Okay, good one. All right. Okay, so we asked this question: what is your preferred identity? 71% said Fijian. Now, that is something we wouldn't have thought. But 71% of Indo-Fijian, young Indo-Fijians said they were Fijians. And I think this would be reflected very well in the Indo-Fijians who have also migrated to US or to Australia or to New Zealand. They would have that Fijian identity in them. They would not say they are Indian. They would say they are Fijian, or they would say they come from Fiji. Then 20% said Indian Fijian. They wanted to associate their place of birth with their probably the ethnic identity, which is Indian. So it makes perfect sense. There were very little numbers, percentage who wanted to identify with their religion or their ethnic origin. Do you know what is Syria Judge? We wanted to know whether they can relate to that particular incident. It's been well talked about historically. Our parents used to talk about it, and now from time to time it is being talked about in media and places. And 92% knew exactly what it was. So the rest of 8% probably didn't know. So so that is fairly striking. That 92% of Indo-Fijians, young Indo-Fijians, knew what it was. Same applies here. When we asked them, can you name the first boat that brought endangered Indians to Fiji? And most of them said it was Leonidas. And we learned it in primary school. So maybe that's from where they picked it up. But that's again striking, because there's a huge percentage of people, younger people, knowing what's their origin. And about the who brought Indians into Fiji, they knew. 99% knew it was British government, it wasn't India or US or anything. So that means they are in touch. They are aware of what happened, 150 years ago, 140 years ago. All right. So when we say that our people are not proud, or our people don't know, I think that's a misplaced argument. Do you feel proud and endowed that you are born as a Girmityas descendant? 99% said yes, which means that they carry with them that pride attached with the identity. What do you think of Girmityas? 30% said worked hard, sacrificed, made Fiji successful. These are the statements that are often coming out in conversations when they want to describe, when people want to describe, the Girmityas. And it reflects perfectly well. All right, and on this question, do you think Girmityas should be recognized for their contribution? You can see they all said, 100% said yes. So, this talk about a monument for Girmityas. We have a Girmit Center. Girmit Center is lying idle because of some stupid people who are in charge. And I'm publicly saying this. I know this will be circulated worldwide. They are not bothered. They think they own that place or something. Girmit Center should have been a monument. It was gifted by the government of India. And I hope those people listen that this Girmit Center should have been much better utilized. People of Indian origin should have identified with it. Today, nothing. People don't even know, Girmit Center exists out there. You ask maybe 20-year-old people who are not associated with it will not know it. Simply, and it is because of the people who are perhaps, socially or even literally illiterate. So this is happening. So I would then probably call upon, the Global Girmit Institute and perhaps other institutions to rethink what we want to do with the Girmit Center. It belongs to the public. Would you like to be identified as a Girmitya descendant? Yes, 100%, no question. Do you think their hard work made you a better person? Yes. So what else do you want from young Indo-Fijians about their identity? All right, so this was our analysis from the data, a small sample of 100, and the findings here are very striking. Okay, so I think I will end it here. I would want to thank the listeners who have been listening to our presentation. It's our pleasure to do that. And thanks, Manpreet and Avitesh, about your cooperation in this. We will definitely take this research forward. And thank you very much. Dhanbad.
Thank you. Vinaka.